Lansing played a character named Gary Seven, and she was the sidekick. And this was supposed to be a backdoor pilot, which didn't fly. You know, they were supposed to be, if you watch the episodes, very much about those two characters and less about Kirk and Spock, because they meant it as a pilot. It was a series that Roddenberry was trying to get NBC to pick up, but they never did.
Well,
So
I think she was highly thought of in her when she first came on the scene. I think there was a ton of buzz about her. Like, really, it was the Letterman visits which used to make me fall for her, because he had a big crush on her, and they would they were very similar in age. She could break his balls, you know, tease him where other people couldn't. The other one too, Sandra Bernhard, but Terry Garth too. So I mean, that's going to be so much fun. Now, will she talk? I wonder if she would do Q&A. Man, that would be like the Actors Studio.
I don't, you know, they do Q&A, and I'm not really involved with that, so I don't know who's actually doing that stuff. A lot of the guests do that, and I don't know, and I know she has some physical issues, and I don't know to what extreme they are.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
So
I did know that. I did know that. Yeah, good point. All right, if you're just joining us, Pat Horgan is with us every Friday. You know that. You can go to his Facebook page, Pat Horgan Thunder Road. But last week and this week, really focusing in on Chiller. You know, you're forcing me to understand what I never did about this thing. It's been around how many years, the Chiller experience?
I think this is like the 23rd year or something like that.
Yeah, that makes me look bad, because that's like smack dab in the middle of my pop culture thing. And I love everything about this. Did it start like as an East Coast idea, or was it? How do you know the genesis of this? It's huge now.
Well, I mean, it started, you know, as a kind of a fan gathering for the late great television show called Chiller Theater, which was, you know, to New Yorkers, Chiller Theater was a group of horror movies from the 50s and 60s that had been packaged together for syndication, and included like all the Universal monsters, Dracula and Wolfman, but also a lot of B movies that we grew up watching, like The Four Skulls of Jonathan Drake, and
right.
you know, She Creature, and you know, Roger Corman, The Attack of the Crab Monsters, and
there you go.
Like that,
but also Zachary is a part of this too. Chiller Theater
Zachary was the host. He was the host at one time of the show, and then Zachary was given put on the daytime, and they had him hosting cartoons, and he would do his little comedy shtick with his, you know, his little. He had a little dungeon set up.
Right,
there,
that's what I'm saying. Now, what era? Right, what era are we seeing Zachary come out and introduce the movie?
Probably around 61, 62, somewhere around there.
Wow. All right. That's why I love all this.
I'm not the world's expert on Kevin Clement, who is the curator. He is probably the one that could give you the exact dates. But I mean, when we saw Zachary, we were probably about 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
So that would put us around 62, 63.
Awesome.
Thereabouts.
That's incredible. So
and,
this thing...
he's still kicking, 95. He's still coming out to the show.
Do you know Adam West was on the Good Morning Show today and told the audience he was 86? Some guy says, how old are you?
Okay.
He goes, 86. And then he even turned to the cast there, and he goes, trick or treat. And he's great. He's still got his guns. He's ready to fool around and make fun of his mock seriousness. So anyway, Zachary is alive at 95. Now, does he ever even get photographed, or what's his scene at 95?
Oh no, he has a table and he sits there. He signs autographs.
Oh
and,
my God!
As a matter of fact, one of like the great moments for me at Chiller was bringing Mark Stein from the Vanilla Fudge to meet Zachary. He really wanted to meet Zach,
right?
Because he grew up in New Jersey, so he's a little bit older than we are. But he was watching the Zach when he was a kid also, and also Zach, you know, for years after that was a rock DJ on WPLJ in New York, which was a huge station. I guess it still is, and but it was an FM progressive rock station like NEW was. It was like a competitor of NEW.
Oh, listen, you know what I think about that? I think he helped PLJ get accepted. PLJ was coming up. Right. They needed credibility because NEW had all the cred. So when he all of a sudden would use that voice on these rock and roll explanations. He was
on as John Zackerly. He called himself John Zackerly, so he didn't really. I mean, that's his real speaking voice. But he aped it up a little bit when he was in character.
Right.
But
he rocked it.
Actually, started in I think he started in Philadelphia, and the character's name was originally Roland.
Oh, is that right?
And Roland became Zackerly because that's his real name, by the way. He changed the spelling when he was in character, but that's his real name, Zackerly, John Zackerly.
That's great.
So. He still, up till last year, he would still get up on stage and do a couple of songs with the band.
It's just terrific. So you plan that he'll be there.
He'll be there. I don't think he's going to be getting up anymore.
Right. All right, so last time we talked about Hulk Hogan, so we spent some time on him. But how about who I noticed down here, your take, you gave me a little bit, go into it a little bit more on Ace Frehley. Because the question I have for you is tied into Chiller, angle. What is the religious following of Kiss all about? I paid a top ticket along with Gary and Dino. We went in graduation year 1978. We sat in the front row. We didn't get hit with the blood, but they were spitting everything near us. So we were there at the epicenter. And I just felt like I went to a Halloween show. I did not feel like I saw Zeppelin or Yes or anybody. But then, as it gets down the line, it is like that for the people who love them. Now, you're a performer. People love you. Help explain this, that he is true royalty. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be. That's very wrong of me. I'm just saying I'm shocked because I was there at the epicenter in 78. They rose on those risers. It was the most remarkable. It's for me, like a showbiz thing. I never saw anything like that.
Oh, it's very much a show business. It's a very different show than going to see Yes or Led Zeppelin or something like that. It's all marketing. And, Gene Simmons, really, you can say what you want about him, but the guy is a brilliant marketer. And he essentially took rock and roll, married it to the Universal Monsters and the Marvel superheroes, and created the characters of Kiss. They're characters. Even now that Ace is gone, his character, the Space Ace, is played by a guy named Tommy Bayer, who's a younger guy, but he wears his identical makeup, and he comes out and he does the identical guitar solos off the record, and that's what those people want to hear. You're not going there for a musical exploration. You're not going to see Kiss to see somebody improvise or to see somebody, take you somewhere musically you've never been. You're going for the spectacle. It's like the 4th of July. That's what you're going for. You're going for blood, explosions, fire. It's like a Michael Bay movie.
Okay. All right. Now I'm there.
Now, a Michael Bay movie. Difference between Michael Bay and Francis Ford Coppola.
Okay. Now, but when he comes to this event, for example, and he comes as himself, right? He won't. His photograph promoting is not in makeup. So
no.
What's happening there? Are guitar fans a fan of his style? Is he a much more? What's up there? What do you think?
Mostly, I think most of his fan base is 40-year-old guys that grew up with Kiss. Again,
you think it's Kiss?
Guitar player wise, you're not going to put him in a category with Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton.
No, but where is he with Slash, and where is he with these modern guys that are not virtuosos, but they are the modern guys?
Well, I'm not a big Slash fan either, so to me, there's a million guys as good as Slash. There's the Hendrix, the Claptons, the Pete Townsend, the Johnny Winters, the Leslie West, and George Harrison, Keith Richards, the guys that were true innovators and one of a kind. And then you have all of those guys like Slash and Ace Frehley and those kind of guys. They're kind of all doing the same thing.
It's the knockoff type of thing. It's not really any
it's just
derivative.
You're getting what you want. There are guys that like that typical type of guitar solo.
Got it.
And they play the song, and at the end of the song goes up a step to make it sound more dramatic. And there's a formula. And the songs are always about
I got
rock and roll. we're gonna rock till we die. We're gonna party till we die.
Right.
You know, we're gonna get girls till we die. I mean, you know, you're not finding something here that you're gonna go walk away and go, wow, that really made me think. You know.
All right, I'm gonna
Ace is that kind of guitar player.
I got you. I'm gonna change subject to Eddie Munster Butch Patrick, because you have mentioned him to me over the years. So I'm not trying to pry, but whatever your backstory you can give listeners on where has this guy been, and is he back in any acting way? Did he ever sneak into an acting role where nobody would know it was him, and he's done something?
Well, I mean, he was a very busy child actor. Besides doing, the Munsters, he had a couple other series after the Munsters. There was one of those, the guy that did the H.R.R. Puff and stuff, all those kind of puppety things. He had a series called Lidsville.
R.L. Stinkin? L.R. Stein?
Right.
R.L.
That's the guy.
That's it.
And I don't know the names off the top of my head.
So he did stuff like that.
But he had a series there. He had a couple of things. He did a bunch of movies and stuff like that. And he tried to do rock and roll. He went out and did some rock and roll records and did a couple of things. And
that's what I thought.
And like most guys in the 70s, he, got himself in a little bit of trouble and,
bad behavior.
Kind of ended up, maybe not taking care of himself, but he's in great shape now. The guy looks great. He sounds great. He's doing some acting roles now, and he's happy.
Good.
He's a happy guy.
That's good. Oh, that's good to hear. That's a great story.
He's a great guy to talk to. If somebody goes to the show, some guys are better than others, and he's a guy you definitely want to talk to because he'll spend the time and talk to you.
How old a fella is he? When you and I watched him on television,
he's about our age. He might be a year or two older than us.
Oh, there you go. All right, so that's good to know about him. Now, are you into tattoos? I noticed the Art of Tattoo Bob is going to be on exhibition, which includes Janis Joplin.
I don't really know anything about that. I don't have any tattoos.
You're not a tat man? Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of people that come to the show that are heavily tattooed, so I'm sure they're going to be enjoying that. I mean, they try to have there were a lot of other things at the show other than going to celebrities and sign autographs. There's movies. They premiere movies. So there are some screenings over the weekend. They have to check the schedule because I don't really know because, again, it's not something that I deal with, but I know that they are. I always try to get to them. I never seem to be able to do that, but they do have sometimes they'll have a guy who brings, there's a guy in New Jersey that has the bat cave. He brings these live bats. And they're not at this show, but it's something that they do. So they do there's a lot of crazy stuff there, and you just don't walk around and laugh. You're going to laugh your ass off walking around.
Right, I got you.
And in October especially because everybody's in costume. People are wearing these outrageous costumes. There's a big costume contest on Saturday night before the show. The show, which is going to be mind-blowing. We're starting with the Smithereens. I think the Council, we're going to join them on stage, and then the Council is going to come out with the Dead Elvi later on. We're going to have Ian Lloyd, who is the lead singer of Story, his brother Louie. He's going to come out and do Brother Louie. We're going to have Lita Ford and Sherry Curry from the Runaways. I believe they're going to do a couple of songs. So it's, we've got bands going all night, probably till about 1:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's a big show.
So,
that's great.
It's a lot of fun. The people that work there are very cool. It's one big family. It's kind of like the Ramones. Gabba Gabba, we accept you. Like if you're an oddball, you'll fit right in there.
Cheryl Teagues, hot. Super hot. Who else is? Who are the hotties? Who are the other hotties that I'm looking at here? Who are you looking forward to seeing? Walk by.
I don't actually get to see all that many people. Like a lot of times, I made a point of finding Adrienne Barbeau when she was there, but
oh yeah, she looks great up there.
I'll look at the list and
that's
there are people there.
Ford,
a lot of them are in my room with me. So
really nice. Yeah. All right, so you got Tony Orlando from Tony Orlando and Dawn. Now, will he perform?
I hear good things. I hear he's a nice guy.
Now, is he going to get up there and do Knock 2 times, 3 times? Is he going to join in?
He's welcome to do it. We kind of prepared for it. I think that nobody's given us an official word on that, but we certainly would love it if he got up and did Knock 3 times. I think Kevin's choice. He said, I'd love to do Knock 3 times.
Wouldn't that be a riot? I mean, that'd be so much fun. Yeah, that'd be a riot. That'd be great. I said that would be a riot to hear that. I would love to.
I heard he's a very nice guy. I've never dealt with him, but I know people that have, and they said he's a really nice guy. And you know, he's one of those guys that will do 45 minutes when he opens the refrigerator. You know, with the light hits him.
Right.
You know.
Now here's one.
So, yeah.
Here's one that's fun. We did mention her last time, but it is fun that you can get a photo taken with Joyce Randolph from the Honeymooners.
Right.
That's fun. That's great. If you've been watching The Honeymooners all your life, and you grab your kid, and your kid's like 15, and dad and the kid, or you know whatever, that's a fun thing to do. What's the sellout time? When do you guys run out of tickets? Because I know you sell it out every year. Do you know when they run out?
You know, it's hard to say.
I'm going to say they're available. I'm on the website. Yeah, I'm on the website. I'm going to say they're available.
The tickets will be available right up to the day.
Oh, they will.
So there are tickets, and if you buy them in advance, they're cheaper than if you buy them at the door.
Oh, okay.
But there are times, particularly on Saturday afternoon, when the building gets shut down because there's too many people. The fire marshal will close the building if there's too many people in there.
Wow.
So I always advise people go on Friday night, go on Sunday, go late Saturday, or very, very early Sunday. I mean, very, very early Saturday. But Saturday in the mid-afternoon is the toughest time to get in.
I got it.
You know?
I got it. Well, who from the band goes? Does Silvio pop in? Does Mac ever go with you? Anybody else like to?
They all go. They all go. They're all there.
Oh, that's right. You were playing. Silvio, but they come for the.
Coming on Friday.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
I think John and Tully are showing up on Saturday afternoon, but the other guys are there. You know, the whole weekend.
Because I would imagine Sylvia would love this in addition to you guys. I should say, obviously, you're playing at your show on Saturday night, but I did mean, do the guys in the band ever like to walk around at the convention side?
Oh, yeah. No, they walk around on their own because I'm busy. I'm the only one that's working all weekend. The only time that they're working is when they get up on stage, which is just about for half an hour. Right. So the rest of the time, they're just there, partying and having a good time. I have to work. So... Friday's much more relaxed for me, and then Sunday it's kind of like you walk around in your bask because, you got your cup of tea, and it's early in the morning, and you're in the elevator, and somebody recognizes you, and they go, "Dude, you totally rock, dude." Like you get that, which is really cool, especially when it's a young kid.
Right.
I get like young kids that like, "Dude, you are a great guitar player, dude." I go, "Thanks, I'm okay." And they know, "Dude, you totally," like you get a lot of that.
Yeah, that's fun. That is fun.
So I enjoy that.
What your show begins at what time? You said it runs till 1:30 in the morning. What time does the stage start to first band?
The stage show will start at 8:30 with the Smithereens. They're coming out first. They're probably going to play about an hour.
Oh, so it is. It's a mini.
Seen the Smithereens.
Yeah, that'll be.
It's a real I mean, this is a real concert. If you had to pay for this concert, it would be sick. The price would be, and this is free for ticket holders. So if you're a ticket holder, it's not even advertised. It's not even advertised on the website. It's just kind of like everybody knows about it and word of mouth kind of thing. Wow. They don't want people just showing up. But if you're a ticket holder, because they give you the wristband, they check it at the concert. If you coming in, this concert's for you if you're a ticket holder. So you figure, the capacity there, when the Smithereens play, the place will be packed. So there'll be probably over 1,000 people.
Well, you know something, now it's kind of getting through to me again. This is why it's a big success. Now, you're giving a great show, right? I'm looking as you're speaking. I found the movie they're screening, probably one of many, and it's a major film they're screening. So if you pay one ticket price and you're in there from Friday evening and you get movies and rock shows and all these people, it is an amazing value. I mean, that's part of why it's excellent.
No, I mean, the movie screenings are free. They're always free.
Yeah.
The concert is always free. And really everything at Chiller, once you pay your price to go in, the only people that you're paying is the celebrities, because the Chiller does not set the prices, has nothing to do with it. They get no piece of the action.
Right.
That's you're dealing with that individual. So if you're not happy with so and so's price, that's you and them. You know what I'm saying? It's not that Chiller has anything to do with that. They have nothing to do with the pricing. Celebrities pick their own prices. So you have people there that charge $10, and you have people there that charge $100. So it's up to you to decide, is it worth it to you?
Well, you know what?
You can negotiate with people.
I'm just going to say even the 100 top end is. I mean, come on, sports guys. Everybody does that. So it's a photo op. It's a photo op. The guy they're gonna pose with you. They're gonna put their arm around your mother. A photo op is different than when you used to stab the guy in the hallway and go, "Hey, hold on." A photo op means they're really going to be nice.
I don't know what the prices are like this year. I know it's gone up through the years.
Right.
Really don't know of any at Chiller that were going for 100, but I've been at other shows where I remember they did the Monkeys convention and Mike Nesmith was charging like $100, which I thought was crazy. But
wow.
I think the top end that I was aware of was Ace Frehley was charging $75 at one point.
Well, there you go. It's not even much for a photo op, is what I'm saying. They give you a backdrop.
There are a lot of autographs for $20. There are some for 10. There's a lot for 20. And you'll see some guys 30 and 40, but I mean that's most of what I've seen. So obviously, you come to this, you have to come to this prepared. I mean, you have to have a disposable income that you can go and say, all right, listen, you can go there and spend $300. You can go out and spend $3,000. I know a guy that went, and this guy's well off. He owns a couple of companies. He said to me, I spent $2,000. But this guy went around and took every big star's photograph and an autograph with every big star was there.
Well, isn't that like when we were kids and you could go to Rye Playland with a tight budget and just do your favorite stuff and that was your thing? Or if you went on everything and ate every time you were hungry, right, you spend 10 times more, right?
Oh, yeah, well, you got to be grown up about it because I've heard people complain.
Pick your spot.
And I go, listen, you're coming for the weekend, you're spending X amount for the rooms. The rooms aren't cheap. And if you don't bring food and you don't bring your own beer and stuff like that, if you're going to go to the bar and you're going to go to the restaurant, you're going to spend a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, I work there, and I bring my own food and my own beer and my own soda and my own water.
Yeah, and put everything in your room, right? Yeah. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't, I don't run around and spend $5 every time I want a beer.
Right.
Not to say that we have a lot of beers when we're there on the weekend.
Well, see, you know what? Yeah, exactly. But the idea is it's a convenience, but there's a way to do this. What I was getting at before though is when you put the costume contest in there and the model contest and everything that's going on, it's that's
right. The model contest also.
I know. I see that. The model contest has got to be awesome, but it's a great value for a ticket. And
the vendor room is unbelievable because when you go in there, even if you don't buy stuff, just walking around and looking at this stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
I had that, and I had that,
yeah,
and I didn't know they made that, and it's really a trip to walk around and look at all that stuff.
What is the bottom line on this? Is it only you made a point a couple of weeks ago on a different topic about what's necessary and what's not, what's a vanity project? We were talking all about that. Is this stuff serving any good? Or is it really just an escape, and thank God it's there so you could forget? Or is there some value to knowing your pop culture, to getting refreshed by it, having some good memories? I got a feeling that it also does some good. I think it does level out people a little bit.
Well, I mean, Kevin Clement, who runs the Chiller, is a great guy. And he is a chronic do-gooder, and I won't get into all the particulars, but he does a lot of good for people. And the fact of the matter is crap rolls downhill. If you are working a venue, or you work at a convention, or you work at a concert, the staff is going to reflect the boss. And his staff does reflect the boss in that they're a great bunch of people. They work real hard. They have a smile on their face. They're happy to be there. They're all hugging each other when they get there, and they're all hugging each other when they leave. They look forward to it twice a year. They love doing it. They would do it for nothing, and a lot of them do. And it's just it's very therapeutic. For me, it's like therapy.
That's it. Yeah.
For me, it's a whole different bag. I go there and I leave whatever problems I have. Except for Silvio, I leave whatever problems I have. And
you're a drummer.
You're
a drummer.
It's great fun for me.
Yeah,
it's great fun for me.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think there is something there. I think everything that we experience is somehow biological, but it's like tiny. I think there's some kind of release of something good when you have that experience.
Well, there's dolphins flying around. I can't wait when I'm driving down there on Friday morning. I can't wait to get there. I'm in my car. I got my bagel and my cup of tea, and I can't wait to get there. And the first people you see, that everybody's grabbing you, hugging you. You got to come to my room. You got to come. We're having a party. And I mean, the party goes all weekend. And I have to be on my best behavior on Saturday, because Saturday is a long day for me, and I got to make sure everything happens. But Friday night, not so much. So I have my fun on Friday night, and then Saturday after the concert, once the last band hits the stage, which this time will be us.
Yeah, you said that.
Then I'm off the hook.
Right.
And I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to play, that all the equipment works, everybody's there on time, that everybody moves quickly on and off the stage. So
well, I am going to ask you about that. Because I've also done shows like this in comedy where there's a lot of moving parts. 8 comics in 2 hours. So when you do a multi-hour and bands off and on, and joining a band for a song, and then plugging in this guy and his Stratocasters on, how bad can it get, and how tough for you to get it right? How bad can it go, and how tough for you to get it right?
We fine-tuned it. When I first did the show, we went on as guests, and it was a complete train wreck. And it was kind of like, probably by the second time we did it, I said, listen, you got to let me run this part of it. This is what I do. So we fine-tuned a lot. There's very little equipment moving around. There are certain particulars that certain people have to have, but we make sure that's ready to go, and that the person is not, because they used to stand around and say, oh, where's that amp? Oh, where's the bass player? Where is he? Oh, he's up in his room. I make sure I'll walk around to the guy in the band who's up next. I say, where's all your guys?
Right.
Where's your bass player? Oh, he's up in the room. Get him down here now.
That's it.
Where's it?
Right.
That's what I do.
Now, how is the technical with the guitars and the drum sets and all that? Because again,
I mean, the band, each of the bands has their own guitars. Obviously, they bring their own guitars, but most of the bands work on the same backline, which is the same drum set. But the drummers all have to adjust the sets, so you have to make sure that they know that, hey, you don't have all day. Go move your ass. And I don't have any. But Kevin says the reason he hired me to do this job is you're not afraid to yell at rock stars.
Is there a master control guy who's listening at all times to the board mix, knowing that everything is on? Yeah.
Well, we have a front of house guy.
Yep.
That does the PA system. We have a company that supplies the PA. We have another company that supplies the back line. And that guy's making sure that all the amps, everybody's plugged in. If they don't know how to work the amp, he's there working the amp for them.
Right. Okay.
So we got, pretty much we've had very few in the 7 years that I've been doing this, which is like, say, 14 times, maybe missed 1 or 2 in the very beginning. But so figure we've done it over 10 times. And we had 2 artists that walked out, and then we had one that walked off the stage because he didn't do what we told him to do. He wanted to go wireless with his guitar. I said, look, you're doing 4 songs. No reason to set up the wireless. It takes just as long as your set's going to be. So anyway, he activated the wireless, knocked out the system. And by the time we got up there, he had thrown his guitar on the floor and walked off.
Yeah.
So he was basically thrown off the show after that.
All right.
And then he had to get on his hands and knees to come back to the show. And he was given another chance, but I was told this is not going to happen again. And the other 2 guys that walked out, you'll never see again on the show. And one was a quote-unquote big star at one time, but he didn't want to wait behind the Smithereens and didn't want to wait behind the other bands that would, for his chance, he wanted to go on now.
Oh, he's one of those, right? You put me up now. I'm here. I go up now. That guy kind of guy. Yeah.
He told us he's a legend.
Of course.
That's what he told us. And believe me when I tell you, 90% of your listeners would not even know who the guy is if I said his name.
Right. Well, it's always the people who tell you. It's always the people who tell you they're a legend. That's how you know they're not a legend. Right. Whatever somebody has to say there.
Well, you know what I told him when he said that he's a legend? I said, there's the door.
That's right. All legends. That's it. All legends can use that door.
Go out that door.
Correct. That's the legend door.
I don't want to say the guy was actually given his song by Lennon McCartney and couldn't make a career out of it.
Oh boy. All right. So now I know. All right. Yeah. Well, all right, All right, so now we can put up. We did a great job on that. Now let's talk about you a little bit. What you are working? Not that at this moment you're focused all on Chiller, but you are in the midst of a project. You got an album coming out. This is very exciting for fans when they know the band.
It's in really early planning stages right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. To get everybody, they're not going to get it before Christmas, correct? But
Oh no.
no. I'm kidding. Of
Next
course,
year sometime.
that's it. It's a next year album. But let the kids in. You teach guitar, so on the air you can teach a little bit of this. What goes on with the songwriter at the beginning of an album? Do you wait till you have enough songs to call it I'm working on an album, or does the album begin the first time you write the first song? When does the album start?
Well,
How do you start an album?
You know, the way I do it is like, you know, if I work on a single song, and I know it's going to be for a compilation or it's going to be used for a single or whatever. But when I'm doing an album, I kind of have a thing in my mind of how I want this one to go, because they all have their own kind of things. Like Find Your Way Back was kind of like about us kind of finding our way back, you know, to our roots and what have you. And 13 Bones was kind of like our Sgt. Pepper's, you know, it was like the most grandiose record and it had the most tracks, and we did a lot of overdubbing and a lot of stuff. So this one I want to do a little bit differently. I want to do it as organically as possible. I want to record minimal amount of overdubs. I want to record the band live in the studio as much as I could possibly can. I know there'll be overdubs, but I want to keep them to just vocals and guitar solos, you know, and whatever sweetening that we do on the tracks. But, you know, we don't want to do a lot of things like we did on previous records where we recorded the bass, drums, and rhythm guitar, and then we brought the keyboards in later. And then we brought the other guitar player in later. And then we brought so I want to have as many people doing their part like a live band this time out.
Now, it's a great scene you just painted, because I want to ask about that. All right. Watching a band once, and they were working on a single song for about 4 hours. What they did was, and I guess, is this an overdub where you do the song, and then the guy plays along with what you just did 5 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an overdub.
Well, we've done it that way in the past. You know, where we would do when we did 13 Bones. There's 13 tracks on it,
right?
And 2 of them were produced individually by Peter. So 11 tracks that we did kind of with the band. And what we did was, like, the first half, we did, Mac, Silvio, and I went in and did rhythm guitar, bass, and drums. And we started to build the songs from there, bringing everybody in. On the second half of the album, it was different. It was Silvio, John Burke on keyboards, and myself, Mac. There was no bass. The bass was put in later on the second track. So what I want to do at this time is I want to go in and, first of all, I'm going to demo all the songs acoustically, which I've never done before. I'm going to demo all the songs acoustically, give them to the guys, and let them live with the songs for a while, because usually I just throw it at them when they walk in the studio. Silvio's always complained about that. But, you know, in a sense, I think it kept him on point, because he has a tendency to overplay sometimes. So I would just give him the stuff, and he would have to keep it tight. So this time I'm going to give him a little room and give him the tracks and say, all right, this is how the song goes, so you're familiar with how the tempo of the song and the basic thing of the song, and then, of course, it'll take a life of its own when you go in there with the band members. But I want to try to do the 2 guitars, the keyboards, the bass and drums at the same time, and just do scratch vocals, and then other vocals will be done separately, and probably the guitar solos will be done separately, but that'll minimize, you know, the amount of time it took to do it. We actually have a name for this project, and the album is called The Return of Laszlo.
Really?
And,
that's the final title or the working title? That's the title?
That's the working title for now. The album is being called The Return of Laszlo. That's what the tapes say.
Got it.
And that's actually a reference to an episode of Top Cat.
Wow.
And there's the Top Cat TV show, Top Cat had a sidekick called Benny the Ball. And Benny was a little blue cat with a white jacket. And in that episode, he finds a violin in a garbage can. So he starts pretending to play, and somebody in the building behind him puts on a violin record. So this millionaire, this happens all the time, you know, a millionaire drives by the street, the window comes down, and goes, "You're great, we're going to put you in Madison, you know, we're going to put you in Radio City Hall next week."
Right.
And he has to pretend, so of course, Top Cat comes along, and of course, Benny, you know, comes up with this thing, we're going to pretend that you're this great guy, Laszlo, you're this great musician, and we'll play the record, and nobody will know. Like, nobody would know at a show, you know, if you got out there and mimed a violin, that you weren't really a great virtuoso. But the gist of that is, here is a regular guy trying to pass himself off as a great musician.
Great pianist, right? Or violin
and
with
that's
you.
Why
yeah, violin. Yeah.
That's why the album is called The Return of Laszlo.
I got it. So that was what Laszlo was in that episode. That was the character. Laszlo was the character that Benny was playing when he was the violinist.
Right.
Got it. Now,
right.
do you remember?
The whole gist of it is we're the Laszlo bands.
I got it. I got it. Now, do you remember the episode of Abbott and Costello with the Victrola being played for Lou? And every time he tried to get up from the piano, the record kept going, and he had to keep miming. Yeah. Oh, God, I love this. All right, I love Top Cap.
That's when you do, all right.
That's it. Yeah, all right. That's it. I did all right. Exactly. That's it.
Well, they all did that, and they did the one Curly did in the Three Stooges where he was pretending to be the female opera singer.
Right.
I see the code, or whatever he was singing, and they were playing the record. And I mean, it's been done, but the whole thing, the gist of it is here's a bunch of guys.
Right.
We're pretending to be these great musicians, and we are what we are, And which I just struck me as funny.
We talked about this. Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about this for a second. Is that really? Talk about that title. Talk about this idea. Is that what everybody's doing? Everybody's up there doing Elvis or doing the Beatles or doing something that made them get up there. Is that what's going on?
Well, I think to some degree you do that because you had to see me explaining this title to Silvio. He was looking at me like I had a hole in my head. Peter loved it. Peter loved it. He was like, "Oh, it's a great idea." And Silvio was looking at me going,
"Right."
Because Silvio wanted, and they would something like, rock this town, or something like
sure.
that. Like, no,
right.
We're not doing that. But I'm trying to experiment a little bit with some different things, some kind of listening room type material, which would be, say, along the lines of the band.
Mm-hmm. How much of this, though, is you using the band for self-discovery? When it's something like this now, when you take something out of your childhood, and Peter taking to it right away, you and him are like, very intellectually close, very artistically understand each other, even if you don't agree. You're very you both. What about that? How much of the band and songwriting is to, like you said before, you get therapy out of Chiller? How much is it to use for your own self-discovery?
Well, I think that everybody's in it for a different reason. I do it because I have to do it, but everybody's story is different. Like Peter and I have been creating in a close fashion since we were kids, since before we had the band, before we could play. We always coming up with these concepts. We're going to do this. We're going to do, So always, Peter's always a good muse for me. In that he will pull stuff out of me that I don't even know is in there. And because I write most of the songs, every so often one of the guys will come up with a song, but for the most part, I write most of the songs. And so it's a little bit different. Like a guy like Silvio just wants to play. He just wants to play. I don't know how much he thinks about the creative process. And, different people do different things. I mean, we have John Burke, who's an enormous... for me, it was like when he joined the band, it was like somebody gave me a whole... we were like a box of Crayola, 8 crayons. You remember the original one, the basic one? And when John joined the band, it was somebody made us into a box of 64, with the pencil sharpener.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he brought all these colors that we didn't have before, as a player, And so when I bring a song and I sit down with John will be, we do this thing and we do this big sweeping thing. And he, okay, So everybody brings something different to the party. And I think the reason the band has lasted so long is we don't have job conflicts. We don't really have two people doing the same job.
Oh,
which I think
right,
you run into that
right.
problem.
Yeah, there's enough room.
You run into that problem in the band is that when you have two people that try it, we've had people that sit in with us, or people that we've used as sidemen that will try to, pony up.
Right. Sidle up to the band. Sidle up and try to become like the Stones. It's the same thing with the Stones. How many people have played with the Stones? But the Stones are still the nucleus is the band. Yeah. Wow. So am I reading this? Yeah, I'm reading this correctly. 1973 is the year you began with this band. I read that on your Facebook page.
Yeah, 1973 is
Wow.
That was Mac and Sylvia and myself played together for the first time.
Wow.
And, Peter was kind of in and out of there. So he has no direct timeline because he was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. So he's been in and out for years. And then, even after 13 Bones, he was gone for about 5 years.
How much of what's going How much of what's going on in the world affects you as a writer? Are you delayed reaction, reflective, block it out because you don't want to date, you don't want your material tied to some news era? What about that?
Yeah, I'm never going to go into specifics about, I'm not going to write a song about ISIS, you know what I mean? I'm not going to, that's not going to happen. I'm not that kind of guy, I'm more of a, I try to make the songs timeless so that they're going to make sense. And I'm not always successful at that. When I look at some of the stuff I did years ago, I go, But for the most part, I think it's worked. I think it worked better on 13 Bones. I think those songs hold up better. Though I think some of the stuff on the first record, and some of the stuff that we did on, various compilations. I mean, there's probably another album's worth of tracks out there on various different things. And you listen to some of the stuff and you go, okay, this was an interesting experiment. Like Plan 9, you listen to that and you go, that was a little crazy, but okay, I don't know what we were going for at the time, but, we were experimenting a little bit. But it's, my songs don't tend to be about what's going on in the world, I should tend to be like what interests me in my world.
Right. You're not chronicling anything. You're really storytelling. Storytelling. Right.
No.
All right. So then, let me ask you, what about?
I'm not going to sing songs about cell phones or anything like that. I'm
Right.
really going to hear that stuff in there.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
A call is a call, still. Right. Isn't that kind of true? Like if the story is about a phone call, who cares? Yeah.
If you hear "Hanging on the Telephone" by Blondie.
Right, no good.
There's a great telephone song. Telephones, there's a lot of great telephone songs.
That's right.
Give Me Information, This is Memphis, Tennessee, Memphis by Chuck Berry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if those songs would fly today. They wouldn't make sense.
Hey, speaking of,
let me
go ahead.
It's a great thing to make, certain things like songs about trains. Songs about trains are always good. Songs about cars are always good.
Well, that's what I meant about the call, right? The real experience of the cell phone for the songwriter is the call. If it's a call with your girlfriend and it's a heartbreak call, then it's the call. It's not the device. But here's what I'll ask you about today's news, because you just said about what's going on now. You probably know this already, so if you do, I wasn't aware. It's been true for a while. Billboard Top 5 is 5 female artists. They said this has never happened before, where it's enduring, and it came out again today. Surprise, not a surprise? Does it matter? Does it tell you anything? Who's at the top 5 of Billboard 5? Like we used to think it did. I don't know. I used to think it did. That really was the best of the best. What does that say to you? 5 women at the top of the Billboard 5.
I don't reflect on the charts at all anymore. I don't think that, for the most part, being in the music business, I know that they're not honest, first of all.
Right.
I know that there's always money involved, and you can say what you want, payola, blah, 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 and 50 to 60. Look, it never went away. It's still there.
Sure, you know what it is? I know what you're saying. It's big access. Big companies, big access, and just like shelf space at the supermarket, right? Borden gets it all. Coca-Cola gets it all. All right, well, listen, what do you do for this last week of preparation now? Is there anything for you to do, or your game plan is set and you just relax?
Yeah, no, I have tons of work to do. I have to I have to do the guest list for all the artists, and I have to get them their passes printed up, and, make sure we have, extra equipment and whatever we need, and talk to every one of the musicians and say, now, remember, you got to bring this, you got to bring your jack, you got to bring, because, sometimes, we supply certain things, but, I don't have guitar picks. I had a guy show up one time, a well-known guy. He had no guitar.
He thought he would play somebody's axe. Right.
Guitar.
Yeah.
And we don't supply guitars. I gave him mine to use. But.
You did. By the way, what are you playing now for that, so the audience can keep track? What are you going to use on your performance night? You use only one guitar for the evening?
I use a 1976 Gibson Les Paul with the Marzio pickups. I use 09, Ernie Ball 09 strings. And that's what I've used for years and years.
Nice.
I bought that guitar for $600 in 1980. So so I was like 4 years old when I bought it. And now, 34 years later, something I'm still using it. That's my primary guitar. I have other guitars, but that's my primary guitar. I have another Les Paul and a Telecaster that I keep as backups on stage in case I break a string. We have a tour manager. We have a guy, that guitar tech that travels with us, and when my string breaks, he grabs another guitar, makes sure it's in tune, gives it to me.
What became of your red SG? That early. You do? Okay, so what year did you get that? What year do you remember?
I got that in 1970, I want to say 72 probably.
71, 72.
It's a 1967 SG in the original hard shell case. I paid $225 for it then. It's worth about $5-6 grand, something like that.
Awesome. All right, man. Listen, great visit today. So next week, it's 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today begins Chiller for 2014. So they go to chillertheater.com. Either way they spell it, it comes up. I was on the site. It's easy to navigate, but the main thing is get your ticket because of everything, Pat, you told us today. You get I'll review it again. They get there on Friday. They got Friday. Yep. They got Saturday. Then they have
Friday, I believe it starts I think it goes 6 to 11 on Friday. Now they're opening earlier now. So Saturday, I think they open at 10. And it goes to about 7, and then what happens is they shut down the convention part of it, and then the stage goes up. We do the costume contest, which is completely outrageous, and somebody wins the prize, whatever it is, and then the concert starts at 8:30 and goes to about 1:30.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking at the site right now. It's easy to navigate. You'll see everybody who's going to be there, the guest list from Fonzie to Terry Garr, who we talked about earlier, to the guys from Sons of Anarchy and Game of Hulk Hogan, I should mention, give him a plug, a good old Hulk. And just, so many people. It's Sons of Anarchy, I mentioned. Oh, Ace Frehley, Cheryl Teagues, the Cowsills, the Smithereens are going to do an hour.
The cast of Good Times.
Right, cast of Good Times. JJ, of course, Esther Roll passed, but Cindy Williams from Happy Days is going to be there. The mom, Marion Rose, is going to be there. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. All right, man. So I'll talk to you next week, same time. Great visit, and as always, your Facebook page is Pat Horgan Thunder Road. Facebook.com/Pat.
All like one word. PATHORGAN Thunder Road.
Excellent.
That's Facebook.com.
You got it. Have a great weekend, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. All right.
When you decide to be something, you can be it.
The Ed Dill Show!